a day that over the last several days, primarily occurring on Sunday. What we have seen is some of the worst rain in the West, in Callaway County, to parts of cities underwater in eastern Kentucky. Are struggling right now. We have the National Guard out in force, over 70 guardsmen and women, multiple helicopters that are out there working with numerous local officials who are providing great leadership. This morning, I joined Callaway County Judge Executive Kenny Imes, Murray Mayor Bob Rogers, Murray State President Bob Jackson, and the Kentucky National Guard in Callaway County to see firsthand some of the damage that recent floods have had on their part of the state. We flew over several areas where infrastructure was severely impacted, where bridges and/or roads were out. While the water had receded, you could see the damage that it had left in their wake. I also got to talk to crews working really hard to already begin addressing the damage. And let me say, from the county judge there and all across the Commonwealth, from the mayor there and all across the Commonwealth, to our crews, they are out there not only doing water rescues along with KSP and the National Guard, but they are also already hard at work trying to help us dig out. And one challenge that we have seen in this set of flash flooding is more businesses. And so our commitment is to not only pursue federal relief, which we believe that the damage is sufficient in these instances to get, but also to do everything we can to get the federal government to recognize and provide individual relief. We will push as hard as we can. I want to thank all their fellow Kentuckians. When I was in Murray, you could see the amount of damage, but they didn't have one lost life. And that's something special about us and our people. We understand what is repairable. A further update on what we have and what we are facing from emergency management, we have Director Michael Dossett.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. As the Governor indicated, this event is still ongoing. We've received a few more declarations. We have 49 declarations from cities and counties to date. We have National Guard again on duty. Some of the counties are Callaway, Laurel, Johnson, Breathitt, Lee, and their efforts are ongoing based on the events of the past several days. This is going to be one that will go into the record books. On our part, we have reached out to FEMA, and we have asked FEMA Region 4 during the assessment period if they will send their lead investigator to the state of Kentucky to look at the homes that were damaged and those that have been inundated. This goes to individual assistance, and we certainly hope they will be here with us. We'll be conducting two types of assessments next week. We had to postpone the ice storm assessments due to the flooding, so we'll finish a lot of those assessments in the RECC and the power utility companies, but we will also begin looking at the homes that are impacted in both the west and the east through this flooding event. This is truly a record-breaking event. The water's still high. This one is not over at this point. Some of the river areas will be cresting on Saturday and Sunday. We also have an issue on the Kentucky River. With that, we'll turn to Secretary Jim Gray, I believe.
All right, before we lead into Secretary Gray, he's going to talk about a specific area of our state that is suffering, which is the city and the surrounding of the city of Jackson in Breathitt County. And the heavy rains have elevated the North Fork of the Kentucky River, creating pressure that's pushing water through a dam that sits under Highway 15 in Jackson and connects to Pamboll Lake. This afternoon, after learning about the breach, I had a chance to talk to both the county judge and the mayor. And first, I could just hear in their voices how much they are hurting for their people that have suffered, that have had their homes destroyed. But I could also hear the resolute leadership that they are using to help get their folks through this. Kentucky Emergency Management is there helping to evacuate about 1,000 people from Jackson as a precaution. Kentucky National Guard is responding there in Jackson with the emergency transport of civilians to higher ground using high-axle vehicles. They are launching 4 helicopters, 3 Blackhawks and 1 Lakota to aid in transporting stranded personnel. The Guard has approximately 100 personnel providing flooding response across 8 counties: Callaway, Barron, Laurel, Johnson, Breathitt, Lee, Estill, and Pike. And previous to the Breathitt County aviation response, Kentucky National Guard had completed 3 aviation rescues in Rockcastle, Lee, and Owsley County. Currently, Kentucky State Police also at the scene, stopping vehicular traffic from entering Highway 15. And KSP can confirm that the Kentucky River Medical Center is nearly evacuated again. Those were our local officials stepping up and protecting those individuals. We have 2 inspectors from the Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet on the way or already there, and Kentucky Transportation with numerous people already on the scene. So with that, let's go over to Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray.
Governor, and thanks, Governor, and you got it right. The Energy and Environment Cabinet has dispatched staff, and actually the dam safety inspectors are on site as we speak, engineers, and they are working with the Transportation Cabinet staff. Our Chief District Engineer, Corbett Cottle, is on site and has been since earlier in the day, just before noon, when the condition was actually, when the conditions were actually exposed. Now, what we're doing is we're also sending geotechnical engineers and geologists. They're on the way. They are en route as well. And the corrective or the remedial action that is being taken, again, as we speak, is to place sandbags in the area which has been eroded, which is shown in this image right here. So that work, Governor, is underway as we speak. So I'll go back to you now, sir.
So that is an update based on information we have received on boots on the ground. But again, this is just another example of some of our incredible local leaders stepping up to help protect their people. Got to hear about the fire chief as well in the area and the number of rescues that they have made. So to everybody out there, being their brother and sister's keeper, thank you for all your hard work. We stand beside you. We stand beside people of Callaway County and of Breathitt County with all that they're facing right now. Let's remember, we are all one Kentucky. We're all Team Kentucky. And anywhere our people are hurting, and we're all hurting. So we lift you up in our hearts and our prayers, and we're going to do the hard work to help everybody dig out. Today's COVID report, 1,080 new positive cases of COVID-19. That is the lowest Tuesday, I believe, in the last 4 weeks. Our positivity rate continues to fall, now down to 4.76%. That's the lowest since October 18th. We have 19 red counties, again, a much lower number than we've seen. Hospitalizations down, ICU down, ventilator just about even. Today, we're announcing the 19 new COVID-19 deaths. They include an 88-year-old woman in Boyle, a 73-year-old woman from Floyd, a 71-year-old woman and a 75-year-old man, both from Grayson County. From Jefferson County, 3 women, ages 69, 71, 73, and 2 men, ages 72 and 79. 96-year-old woman from Kenton County, 74-year-old woman, and 2 men, ages 54 and 69, from Laurel County. Madison County, we lost 2 women, ages 76 and 77, and 1 man, age 66. In Rockcastle, we lost a 67-year-old man. In Simpson County, we lost both a woman and a man. She was 68 and he was 53. Again, if there are positives in these numbers, only 4 of the 19 were in long-term care. Again, showing you what these vaccinations can mean. Speaking of long-term care, 7 new residents testing positive, 4 new staff, 4 new deaths attributable to long-term care. Each of these are residents, but these numbers are so much lower than we are used to. So this should show you what it will mean when we can get everybody vaccinated and the significant impact that we can make in pushing back on this virus. All right, we've had a couple questions lately about signing up for vaccines, and I want to reiterate that we do have a one-stop shop to find your vaccination location sites nearest to you, to get transportation, and to serve all of those needs. So today I'm reminding Kentuckians to visit vaccine.ky.gov. It is a one-stop website where you can learn vaccine information, including what phase you are in. And you can supply your contact information so that we can communicate with you when appointments become available at new and existing sites across the state. The website also lists our statewide regional vaccination partners, so you can search your county and region to see how to schedule an appointment. It's all right there. Currently, we have 410 locations across the state, but you simply go to this website to see what those providers are nearest to you. Kentuckians can also call 855-598-2246 for over-the-phone assistance. Our hotline has the same features as the website, but on the phone, our team members can walk you through the eligibility questionnaire and can assist you directly with scheduling an appointment if and when they are available. So to those that believe that they are having a tough time scheduling appointments through any computer system, call it 855-598-2246, and they can help you again if. We're also working with partners to take Kentuckians to vaccination sites themselves. This is transportation. Public transit agencies across the state are offering to and from vaccine appointments. That's free or reduced cost transportation. These services are already operating in 100 counties, covering 75% of Kentucky. Kentuckians can find a vaccine and transportation services nearest them, again, by going to this website or by calling this number. It is a one-stop shop to find out everything you need to know and then to work to sign up for your appointment. Some more good news that we got today. We are having another increase nationwide in vaccines. That'll be another 700,000 vaccines going to states nationwide starting this next week. So of that, we'll get, probably about 8,000 more vaccines. And that means through the federal programs and through what we're getting now moving into the future. And it means that we believe with the Johnson & Johnson batch that we're getting now and with increases we expect, we hope to double the number of people vaccinated in just this next month alone. And folks, as we start getting more visibility into the future on what a ramped up Johnson & Johnson production will look like, on what we're seeing from Moderna and Pfizer, the timeline when anybody who wants a shot can get a shot keeps moving up. It keeps getting better. So we will continue to communicate with you, but at this rate, if we have another 700,000 people this next month, remember, if it's been tough for you to get an appointment, it's going to get a whole lot easier as we move forward. This is about supply, supply, and supply, and it will solve so many of the challenges we face. So let's look at the overall vaccination. Oh, okay, there they are. So as of this morning, 711,559 individual Kentuckians have received at least their first shot of hope. The vast majority of those had a part in running. Federal Direct Program, remember this is Department of Defense and VAs, about 23,500 of those. And the Federal Pharmacy Program, we're following up on this because I think this number is actually higher. We think there may be some reporting delays, 10,607. Remember, Federal Pharmacy Program are Walgreens and Good Neighbor pharmacies that may operate under another name. Those are supplied directly from the federal government. There is one page, and those are the federally qualified community health centers that are also getting a certain amount of vaccine. Again, we're happy to have all the different programs. They bring more supply. We don't have full visibility on the demographic breakdowns of the direct federal program. I personally requested those a week ago in our, and they are apparently working on it. Let's look at our week yesterday. Last week, we set a record for the most individuals to receive that first dose. 428 Kentuckians getting their shot of hope. I want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who worked so hard to make everybody meeting them at the door, to everybody putting that shot in their arm or watching them afterwards. Thank you so much for all of your work. Remember, this was when we got basically 2 weeks worth, and we didn't know exactly how much we would get until pretty much it storm. We did a really good job in testing out our system and our capacity. So this next week is going to be a pretty big week too. We're going to have, because of the Johnson, 30,210 new first doses to give out this week. And we have, 1,000 plus that have carried over from previous weeks. So a lot of potential vaccinations out there. Now our overall number after this week is going to dip a little bit. They're shipping all the Johnson & Johnson that they have out right at the beginning. And so, for instance, after this week, our next week allocation of Johnson build back up, and it's actually going to ramp up really quickly in how much the state will see, especially in April. That was expected, and we have planned on it. All right, so we got our information out quickly today. Remember, on Thursday, we will do, again, our regular update. That's when we also have our UI. Now to questions. We'll start with Corinne Boyer from WEKU.
Hi, Governor. From FEMA, and what sort of immediate assistance does the state need right now? And then do you want the second question, or should I wait?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Yesterday, you talked about the COVID deaths and said at least one person had stopped auditing death certificates back in November. How many people were involved in that? Have they been fired? And were they maybe just overwhelmed?
So let's start with the second one. When we see a breakdown like this, because it was the individual and the group was certainly overwhelmed, and I don't want to discount that. When we see the vast number of deaths with the same number of people to sort through them, they got overwhelmed by just the amount reported from the local health department. But it's certainly you don't stop doing the other piece. And it should have been caught. It's happened in just about every other state that I've talked to. There'll be time in the future to look at any individual action there. Our goal audit to speed it up and to ensure that we get it done. So we are going through that process right now. And while we want to move swiftly on it, we also want to be meticulous, right? We want to make sure people haven't been underreported, but we don't want to over-report when there may be a duplicate or anything else out there. You know, I said yesterday, everybody counts. And it's important that everybody that we is counted. And so we're going to make sure we do that, both in that period of time where we believe that audit function that is supposed to be performed wasn't being, but then we're always going to continue to go back and look too. You know, no unknown soldiers, nobody left behind. And that's what our families deserve. On actually, why don't we have Director Dossett talk through it? It takes a period of days. You've got to collect threshold to get the presidential declaration. So in the short term, it's really the man and woman power that we can provide from the National Guard, from KSP, from the Department of Transportation, from Energy and Environment. It's the equipment like the Blackhawks and cots that we can bring in and ready to eat meals for those that have had to be evacuated. But let's go over to Director Dossett for a little more detail.
So thank you for the question, and the governor covered it very well. The timeline for FEMA is 30 days. We're fortunate because FEMA will be in town next week, scheduled to look at the pending assessment for the remainder of
All right, I think we lost audio with Director Dossett, but we'll get more information there. I know what he was going over is we're already going to have FEMA in town because they come in after we submit documentation or as we're doing it to look themselves to make sure that we have the proof and that they can see it firsthand. Our hope is that we can direct them to both of these incidents. I mean, we're likely to have two disasters within a week, a little more than a week, both of which we think will cross our threshold for securing a presidential declaration. We are very focused on trying to get individual assistance, especially in this second one. It's a tough process, but we intend to push as hard as we can. Sarah Ladd from the Courier-Journal.
Yep, good afternoon. So today we learned here in Louisville that we've dropped into the orange zone after quite a few months in the red zone. And I want to ask you, given how populous our county is here, can you discuss any statewide implications from that drop? Thank you.
Well, certainly great news. Jefferson County has been hit so hard, and the loss there unimaginable and felt by every corner of it. You know, I look at this from my perspective as statewide, one state, and certainly when the most populous county is doing better, then we are all doing better. I think that strong steps have been taken during the course of this pandemic in Jefferson County to do the very best that we can to reduce the virus. I also think that one of the best vaccination sites in the state is up there in Broadbent Arena. And so I think it is a good sign. We want to continue to see it move that direction. And what that means is even with us increasing capacity limitations a little bit, you know, we can't throw off the mask and stop doing the things we need to do. I mean, I got a question here. Several restaurants and bars have asked us when last call will be moved from 11 p.m. back to 2 a.m. So here's the challenge. We're being asked this, and then we're being asked, well, why can't people get up and be at the bar itself again? These are high-risk activities for COVID. We know that. We absolutely know that COVID has spread in bars significantly. The CDC has been very firm on that. We are trying to provide relief while at the same time not allowing that UK variant, which spreads so much more aggressively, to turn our progress around. And remember, we are so close. We are so close as we are vaccinating more and more people. So right now, we're doing the capacity limitation increase, and then we will continue to watch where our trends are. And the faster we vaccinate, the faster there's relief on these others. But there's no question that COVID compliance decreases between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. 2 a.m., you see a lot less masking and social distancing than you do at 11 p.m. I know that hits some industries harder than others, but that's where COVID spreads, and it continues to be areas that we have to do what's necessary. Again, I hope the 10% helps for now. It won't be the last time we let some air out of the balloon, as long as we continue to see good compliance. The challenge is if we don't, right? If the mask mandate isn't enforced, it can set us back, and we can't be afraid to tighten things up again if we have to. Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you, sir. I'd like to, got two for you here. The first one is a follow-up of a question I asked you a couple of weeks ago, and that is whether the Renters Assistance Program is also available to homeowners who are finding themselves underwater. And secondly, now that the long-term care facility program has ended, what are some of the numbers of the percentages of both residents and staff who declined to get the vaccine?
Yeah, I owe you an answer on both of those, Tom. The feedback that I got after the first one on homeowners is that they believed that there may be a way to provide relief, and we're looking at the guidance, but I did not get the follow-up from that, and we will get that to you. We should be able to calculate those final numbers on long-term care after the last of the third round of the clinics go through, and they are ending here shortly. So we can get you those numbers too. I think initially we had, I think we were 70% plus on residents, but we were saying yes, but we were only in the 40s on staff. I certainly hope that turned around after the second visit and went into the third visit. Now the numbers we're going to be able to give you, and we should be able to give you, aren't going to be a complete fight in the state. Get vaccinated, and we won't see them in that long-term care program. But again, when we look at what we can see are the final numbers from the program, in that we were able to vaccinate 83,007 individuals, and that would be residents and staff. We also have a continuing program, which is outside of what we'll be listing as long-term care moving forward, about new residents and new staff that are being onboarded. But yeah, we owe you answers on both of those. All right, Chris Otts from WDRB.
Hey, Governor, thank you for taking my questions. As you may have anticipated, I have one on unemployment. I know we're ahead of the curve on your Thursday update. And then if you could come back to me for one on COVID, I would appreciate it. I'll start with the one on unemployment. Back when the 400,000 unread emails thing came out from the auditor's office, you said that people should go and make phone appointments to get help with their unemployment. Speaking with people who have done that, apparently you only have a short window, about 1 minute after midnight, when these phone appointments open to when they can be scheduled. Otherwise, there are no phone appointments available. So there's clearly much more demand for these phone appointments than is available. I was wondering if you were aware of that, if it is acceptable to you, and what you might be doing to increase the availability of help to people, whether over the phone, in person, or whatever.
And what's the COVID question? I'll make sure I hit them both.
Okay, the COVID question is, it seems as though Texas today I'm just reading what's coming in on the internet that they have done away with all restrictions, done away with their mask mandate. I think Mississippi has made a similar move. And curious if you have reaction to that. Does that seem irresponsible to you? And what do you think about Kentucky moving into even fewer restrictions as our positivity rate declines?
Well, I think as our positivity rate declines and our cases decline, then we can loosen some restrictions. But what Texas and they paid severe consequences for it in the summer and into the fall. I mean, there were times when Texas had hospitals so overrun, they were losing individuals because they couldn't give them the proper care. I mean, how many times are some going to make decisions that they know have enormous potential costs of human life? And also, why would you take such a huge risk on life right now when the light at the end of the tunnel? You know, those two states did those things and took steps that we thought were reckless before. We didn't do it. They paid the price, and we saw it. I don't want to lose Americans anywhere, but we're certainly not going to act irresponsibly here in Kentucky. As a result of unprecedented number of claims, our limited number of experienced UI staff, and our antiquated computer system, it is still taking us longer than we would like to process unemployment benefits. We continue to work each day, and we're going to continue to work each day until we help everybody that needs help. Phone appointments are available, but we are filling them up, which means we are talking to 125 Kentuckians every day that need help. Yes, we've got a lot more than 125 each day that need help, but it means person after person after person, we are getting through it. They do book up fast, and they do book up too fast, but it also means that we are getting 125 people scheduled each day. It just means the next 125 have to wait the next day. I wish we could talk to all of them immediately, but we learned early in the pandemic that if we put people on the phone with those that aren't experienced enough to help resolve their claim, it just creates more frustration and it creates more delay. We certainly want to make sure that we get to everyone and we do it as fast as we can, that we onboard new staff as our budget, hopefully, which will be approved to increase that, allows, and again, continue to try to improve every single day. When we and we're looking to hire additional folks for our UI call system, but they have to be trained to the level necessary to actually give some people relief when they have that conversation. So I know people are frustrated. Those appointments are available. Right now, they are booked until April 9th. So again, we're going to do this until we get through everybody. Now, Melissa Patrick we did one question, I thought, with Melissa. Okay, Melissa Patrick with Kentucky Health News.
Hi, Governor. Thank you for taking my question. So this week's White House report. Well, that's okay. You know, you're a busy man. So this week's White House report shows a graph that the 7-day average of testing in Kentucky is a bit on the decline, and it's actually on the decline. And then separately, the Co-Immunity Project in Louisville detected the California variant in its wastewater project today, was reported. So my question is it time for Kentucky to consider doing randomized testing across the state in order to have a better grip on community spread and on the spread and presence of these variants?
I mean, randomized testing across the state, is structurally a challenge. We certainly want to get as much good information as we can, so we can consider any of those options. We are seeing a national decline in testing. Kentucky's decline is less than many. I think you're using a 7-day that doesn't end up having the weather impact, which was a huge impact for that 1 week. The decline, I know the White House is pushing back against it, wants more people tested, and we do need more people tested. We also need to recognize that folks who have just gotten over COVID aren't going to go get tested at the same rate, and folks that have gotten vaccinated, while they'll get tested, aren't going to get tested at the same rate. And we've got to not just look at different options. Random statewide testing may be one of those, but then you got to do the genetic sequencing for the variants. But another is we're going to have to adjust our expectations for the amount of testing we have and look for, and this may be one of those options, the way that we get as much analysis as we can from the testing that'll be out there. I mean, if our expectation is we'll have the same amount of testing after 1.4 million people, we hope at the end of next month have been vaccinated, then we're just not setting ourselves up for success with realistic expectations. All right, so we will be live 4 p.m. on Thursday. Everybody keep doing what we need to do to lessen the spread of COVID. Make sure that you get your shot of hope when you have the chance. Also be thinking about everybody out there that may have lost their home in the last couple days, may have been without electricity most days of the last 3 weeks. These weather events have been brutal on Kentucky, but we're tough. And we have looked out after one another the last 11 months and these last several weeks. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that this Saturday is the 1-year anniversary of our very first case. We're going to be having a ceremony on Saturday to try to mark this moment, and we'll have more information as it comes out. But if you have a chance on Saturday, try to tune in for that. You know, this has been a tough year in our lives, and for most of us, it'll be a major moment in who we are and where we've been. We're all going to come out of this with some scars and a lot of processing to do for our grief and our loss. But it's also a time, 1 year in, where we can look at 3 safe, effective vaccines and see with sight victory over a worldwide health pandemic, even just a year into it. So it's a lot of mixed emotions, and I know we all feel them. And so Saturday will be a chance for us to come together to process some of it and then to reflect on where we've been and to look at where we're going. So we'll see you at 4 p.m. on Thursday.